Hello, my absolutely beautiful Gemini friends, and welcome to your horoscope for 2025, where in this video, we are going to do the whole annual overview of the major transits that are coming for 2025. And don't worry, not only are you going to get the annual here, but all year long, I will be walking with you every day for transit updates on Instagram. I walk with you every week and every month for the other activities and aspects that are happening in the sky right here on YouTube. So welcome, Gemini. I'm excited to break down what is going on for you. Now, first things first, make sure that you click in the description box down below to find the timestamps for the different sections of your video, because in this annual breakdown, this is an experience for you. This is built for you to listen, to put on, to bring in every angle, every area of life and get all the juice out of it. So I've gathered 5 expert astrologers to give you a breakdown of the other areas of your life. I'll be taking you through the general. We've got Rachel Lang talking to you about your relationship astrology for the year. Sama will take you through financial. We've got Kira on your medical wellness for the year. And Tiffany Harelik is going to walk you through what to do to really spiritually develop all year long. So click in that description box, Gemini, and grab those timestamps. If we haven't met before, I'm practicing professional astrologer Stormie Grace, and I am thrilled to be here with you. Now, if you haven't grabbed your 2025 digital transit calendar, Gemini, you want to get that, because we want to be in the know for 2025, okay? We want to have those transits coming right to our phone, so make sure you click down there and grab that. And if 2025 is your year of learning astrology, you definitely want to jump into my Astrology 101, 102 classes and get this learning and language underneath your belt. All right, Gemini, what is happening in this brilliant and beautiful sky for you here in 2025? Well, first and foremost, Gemini, we have got Uranus moving into your sign in 2025, and this is going to spark some unexpected changes. Now, if you have been feeling this sense, Gemini, that's like a little bit of an itchy tag where you're like, I'm not exactly sure what that is, but something's going on, I can't quite put my finger on it, that is Uranus starting to warm you up to the fact that it's going to come in and it is going to make massive changes to your life. And they're the kind of changes that get you out of the rut, okay? But they also are going to unlock pieces of your beautiful Gemini mind that show you that you've had ideas and opinions and creative visions that you just haven't had access to. And now you're going to be ready to express those things. Especially your identity will undergo a massive amount of change. The way that you personally express yourself will be huge this year. And the rest of the cosmic dance has really got your friendship and your social groups in mind to help you grow and to branch out where you really need to be. So breaking free of those old patterns, inviting you to reinvent yourself, that is really what the annual horoscope has in your favor this year, Gemini. So let's jump in here and see what these transits have to offer for you all year long. My absolutely beautiful Gemini friends. So this is a year where, as always, I think if we can truly embrace the transformation that's on the table, however haltingly you need to walk towards that, that is going to be where you're really being asked to open up and you're going to find your greatest good, especially as Uranus moves into your sign and really shakes things up. So let's jump in here and look at the exact dates of the transits that are happening for you so you can see where are these moments of insight and how are they really impacting you. So go ahead and grab a pen, grab some paper, grab your tablet, and let's dive into what we've got going on. So first and foremost, something that we want to keep in mind is that as we are coming into 2025, we are coming in with Pluto now in the vibration of Aquarius. Now, we have toyed with this energy being here, but it hasn't really stuck since 2023. But now we're going to get the full meal deal with Pluto traveling through Aquarius, which is a fellow air energy. So we're going to be looking at the transformation here, the burning down and the resetting of your beliefs, exploring for you, Gemini, what really are the higher truths that are guiding your life? What are your philosophies? And there is going to be a massive, I think, evolution in your worldview. You know, wherever you live, wherever you're at on the globe tonight listening to this, the world is about to open up and we are going to see it very, very differently, because as Pluto is traveling through this 9th house space for you that is about publishing, marketing, broadcasting, philosophy, higher ideals, higher education, international law, international travel, languages, right? There's just this mystic what is beyond my horizon kind of energy that allows you to expand out. As Pluto is traveling here, it offers the signature that there's a powerful shift in your perspective on life. So what it will naturally prompt is a deeper reflection on your own beliefs, on your own philosophy, on how spirituality guides you in your philosophies as well. Now, something else I think about is that this transit, as we travel with it this year, could really ignite a desire for you to think, I want to explore maybe a foreign country or a foreign land. There's just something more advanced about your study in the world that you're going to feel this calling and this craving to. So feel free to examine hidden aspects of yourself, hidden aspects or deeper aspects of your religion, your culture, your metaphysical teachings that are going to help you to embrace transforming in this energy. For those of you who are on a particular course of study and you're like, no, I do want to study Italian, but I want to study Italian in Italy, right? Let's look at that. Or if it's, I've always been told that this is the truth about fill in the blank thing. And now as I go on a little bit more of an exploration, what I think is true and what I think is true authentically, Aquarius, for me, is this particular thing. So make a lot of room. Now, it is Plutonian. So when we're burning something down, before the phoenix rises from the ashes, it's not getting a light crisp. It's a burn down. So sometimes letting go of what has been an idea or an ideal for a very long time can be challenging. But just know the transformation that's on the other side is always about empowerment. Now, as we're coming in as well, we're going to see that Mars here on January 6th is retrograde. So we are coming into 2025 with our feet on the brakes. My get up and go has got up and gone is really what this energy is. We are not coming in like ready to go, ready to take it on. Instead, we are here in your third house space with Mars retrograde in Leo, reevaluating your communication, slowing down when we're interacting so that you can make sure that you're not only speaking, but that you're really, really listening as well. And this, again, to the other side of that, Pluto being in Aquarius, really, I think is prompting you to reconsider maybe something that you are studying or something that you are teaching. Wherever you are gathering or sharing information, you're really like rethinking it, because Mars retrograde through this area of your chart is going to ask you to pause. Reflect on how you communicate. How do you really learn? How do you really connect with the people in your immediate environment? Now Mars retrograde is still Mars. So even though it's pointed backwards, it's still Mars. So you likely will encounter frustration in expressing yourself. You feel blocked. There's a certain conversation, maybe with a sibling or a neighbor or inside of a contract. And you're like, why do I feel blocked only in this conversation? Okay. Like that sibling relationship though, or the places where this has been a block. This can be, as Mars comes out of that retrograde, a place where if something's been unresolved or it's been stuck in that blocked energy, it can be resolved. So, whatever is feeling like it's not moving, the gas is on, I would encourage you to try to go backwards, not forward, and use this time really, truly, Gemini, to reflect on your communication style. Now, Mars is still Mars, Gemini. I'm going to encourage that you avoid making impulsive statements, especially any place online. And this is a good transit to listen, because you will likely learn exactly what you need to know, and it will bring you greater clarity more by listening than by talking at this particular time. Now, on the 7th, we're going to see that Mars retrograde is going to slide into the vibration of Cancer. Okay, so it's going to leave that Leo zone in the third house and move into Cancer. So back to your money sector. Now, we did see that Mars already traveled here, really pushing you to do a reassessment already of these finances, for you to rethink your personal values, reflect on your self-worth and what you need that nurtures that. We saw that as Mars was actually traveling forward, you got your first indications of that, and now the retrograde will help you with that reassessment. So, I think it's a good energy if you are feeling compelled to slow down, to reevaluate your approach to not only your material possessions, Gemini, but your finances, your personal values. This is a transit that is going to, throughout January, really until February, encourage you to question whether or not the financial habits that you have and the goals that you have for your finances are aligned. Are they demonstrating, the worth that you really believe that you are worth? Now, any frustration related to money management, resources, things that bring you financial stability, including relationships. I think if there are any issues, you could definitely find them surfacing at this time, but it is about reflecting on how to bring anything that is unresolved to resolution. Now, the one thing I will caution you during this particular time, all the way until February 23rd, is avoid impulse spending. Your question at this time is going to be, is this an asset and it will actually help me grow immediately? Or is it a liability and it's not going to do anything for me? I'm going to spend the money and then that's going to be it. Because if it's not an asset, you invest in it and it keeps growing. Really rethink that purchase. All right. When we get down here to January 11th, we're going to see the true north node move into Pisces, lighting up your 10th house space. And the south node on the other side will move into Virgo, lighting up your 4th house space. So this is really, it's always an interesting dynamic, I think, when we get to the Virgo Pisces axis, because first of all, you're going to want to go back in your life and pattern track this backwards a little bit. What was going on in your life in like 2016? What was happening? Because you've already been in this theme, or go back to 2006. There will be a separate video that really digs into the dates of these, but you can start to look around at where you've been, because you're somewhere in the zip code of that right now. So looking at where you're aligning career, 10th house, with spiritual purpose, where you are releasing perfectionism, especially with the people in your family, like these expectations we've had of them, because that north node in Pisces, especially in the 10th house of your career, your work, the reputation we call you in public, your soul level calling, right? The north node is taking you where you're supposed to go. The destiny is moving you forward. It's encouraging you to pursue a career path that really resonates with creativity, that it resonates with spiritual things, that resonates with compassion. It's digging into that space of a higher purpose, but it also requires that you have a lot of faith that this career path can work out for you as well. So during this period, going all the way until July of 2026, if you feel drawn towards roles that are more inspiring, or you have a shift in your professional goals and you're like, I just want to make a positive impact, I would trust that. Because on the other side, that south node being in Virgo, working in your 4th house, is the suggestion that you're going to let go of control in family dynamics. So control in your roots, where you've been carrying a story of some level of perfectionism, whatever it is that is in opposition to the direction you feel like you want to go now. And instead, you're going to look at bridging the gap between who you are and how you're anchored at home, and cultivating a harmonious relationship with what you do in the world as well. So take this transit, take this time to continue. You're not going to reflect once, but continue to reflect on how your career can align with what you perceive to be a greater purpose, can help you focus on ways to serve other people, maybe express your creativity, and practice this release of this tendency, especially in your family, to have to be overly managing. Allow for flow, allow for some trust, allow for compassion of other people. That's really going to help you establish a better family foundation. Okay, when we get to March 1st, we're going to see that Venus is going to take a retrograde in Aries. And I want you to remember that when a personal planet goes retrograde, we feel it. Because even when a planet is in a retrograde energy, it's closer to the Earth. So we do feel it, okay? So you're going to feel this. So this is going to be a time lighting up your 11th house space, Gemini, about friends, friendships, social circles, social media. But really, I think something even more important is that you are really in a space of reassessing your goals and your aspirations for yourself. And so it's also going to naturally bring you to the space of having to go, who am I aligned with? That one is in my tribe, right? Where what I'm talking about and what I believe in, I'm sharing with like-minded people, and we're on a whole vibe together, because from that position, you're supported and you can grow, right? You want to grow, get into community. But it's also going to put you in this position where it is I need to not only review them, but I have to review what it is that I want for myself. What do you want for yourself, Gemini? What is that personal aspiration? Now, if that means that it reconnects you during the retrograde to old friends, or you revisit an old issue in friendships or in a social group, or maybe even you have an app that you've been using and you have not been taking full advantage of all of the features, right? So whatever it is, this transit is going to encourage you to consider whether or not socially, in many different ways, you are still aligned with your values. And if not, to let go of the associations that no longer serve your growth. And be honest, be like, I'm not serving these clients anymore, right? I'm not serving this friendship group anymore. So use this time to reflect on quality, the quality of your friendships, the quality of your social spaces as well. And, I would just say this, it's still Venus. If you can avoid making any really significant social commitments until Venus goes direct, I would do that. If somebody comes along and they are just the love of your life around March 15th, I would just pause. If take it slow. Take it slow. It's not to say it doesn't happen. Take it slow and wait and see what happens at the end of April. How's it still going? So if you can avoid yourself the drama, because sometimes we make a decision during Venus retrograde and then Venus comes direct and we're like, this is not the quality I thought it was at all. So give yourself a little break there, okay? All right. When we get to March 14th, we've got a full moon lunar eclipse lighting up your fourth house space in Virgo, home, family, real estate, property. So not only is this the full moon where you're being asked to end something, acknowledge something, or to make an adjustment, but it's again digging into that home zone where now you're being eclipsed, you're being reset, right? And asking you to release family patterns, to bring emotional clarity, resolve the domestic issues, whether that's the renovation of the bathroom or something with your childhood or your mother, right? It's going to highlight the emotional dynamics in your home, but it brings the opportunity to just really release it. Is that an old story? Is that an outdated pattern? Where do you need to find closure around things at home or in your roots? Now, for many of you, if you do experience this really strong desire where it's like, I need to clean up, I have this unresolved issue, or I need to, sometimes the unresolved issue is that you're like, I just need to make this adjustment to my home environment. I would encourage you to do it because it is a time for letting go of the emotional attachment to even how the furniture is arranged, if that is what is preventing you from feeling at peace in your home. Now, I've also got a beautiful feng shui video I'm bringing you for the Jupiter and Cancer energy because you need to love where you live, Gemini, okay? All right, now just after that, at the end of March on the 29th, we've got a new moon solar eclipse, and this one is actually going to be in Aries. So we're flipping the light back to this 11th house space. Now, the new moon is asking us to plant our seeds of intention, but remember, we're doing it with fresh eyes, okay? The eclipse is bringing fresh eyes to us. And you have also done a lot of work throughout 2024 in that Libra Aries axis, so you are a lot clearer, I think. The time here being marked for this fresh start, especially in your friendships and your long-term aspirations, this is the time where you are setting it with the most current version of yourself, the most authentic version of yourself. So those new friendships, that new community involvement, that group project, that social dynamic that you're sharing is really aligned for the future. And now you're like, okay, I'm calling in more of my tribe. I'm reaching out. Aries, I'm reaching out to innovate my tribe. I'm reaching out to build meaningful relationships that are going to support my growth. I'm not just waiting for them to come to me because Aries is not waiting for any of that. You are like, I'm going to get my like-minded tribe and I'm going to get what I aspire for myself. So love into that energy. Now, when we get to March 30th, just a day later, Neptune is going to officially take that step into Aries. And this is going to take us, wealth. We got a long time invested in Neptune and Aries. But the theme that it's going to start to bring in here are spiritual connections. The most idyllic friendship connections. Now, Neptune is still Neptune, so there can be a dissolving of relationships, a dissolving of boundaries. There can be some misorientation, right? Disorientation. There can be unrealistic expectations of your social circle where you're like, yes, I have finally found these friendships that support my spiritual goals and I'm joining this collective, but then you're expecting these people to be really perfect, or you have an expectation of them that is absolutely unrealistic, right? So what you want to look for as Neptune is traveling through Aries is, I think, the one word that Aries wants the most, which is respect. So as you're experiencing this transit, not only are you going to maybe feel drawn to have those connections with people, but you're going to want to ensure that every relationship is grounded in mutual respect, right? We may not have the same ideas as each other outside of this particular thing, but it is grounded in respect. And that is how I think you take advantage of this time for making the most meaningful connections, okay? And when there's respect, there's usually boundaries. Now, Saturn's also going to move into the vibration of Aries, but not until May. Now, Saturn comes and it's like, we're going to bring a little bit of discipline. We're going to bring some structure to this area. So this is when it's like, okay, how am I showing up in my social groups? I'm going to bring some of my responsibility. I want friends, but do I know how to be a friend? This is the questions that Saturn are going to bring to the table. So as Saturn has this entry into your 11th house that is very social, it does get serious. You have this ideal that Neptune is shaping over here, but Saturn's going to come and bring a structured approach to friendships, group commitments, group projects. So it's going to encourage you to, first of all, define your social group, define your social role or responsibility in that group. Focus on actually asking the hard questions. Am I a part of a group where my aspiration is to make more money, but this group is focused on making just impact? They don't care anything about the money, right? You're going to have to ask very specific questions so that you make sure your connections are aligned with your long-term goals. And for that, you will be responsible. Now, many, many times, as Saturn comes into a new space, especially the beginning of a transit, the friendships in our life, the group things, the social spaces in your life will likely get tested. And those that got cracks that are too big, they will fall away. And that means it's just not meant to travel with you anymore. So put your investment and your attention into what you want to build and what is showing stability and support to be able to travel with you. Now, Jupiter is going to move into Cancer June 9th, and it'll be here for 1 year, all the way until June of 2026. So as we experience Jupiter in Cancer, this lights up your second house space. So this is about expansion of financial opportunities, expansion of understanding the wisdom behind your personal values, what you value. I just love this flat out as a wealth building opportunity for you. Okay, so Jupiter's presence here, it is optimistic. Jupiter's like a happy planet, even when it's retrograde, right? So the transit here it's this encouragement to, in the second house, it's how we go out and generate our income. So you're going to be encouraged to pursue some income generating opportunities, but also then to focus on what brings security, because Cancer does want security. But more than that, deeper than that, I think it is also about this time to really explore, Jupiter, how your values align with your financial goals, because this is what's going to really allow you to create wealth, the kind of wealth that you want that supports what is your sense of security, what is your sense of satisfaction. So take advantage of financial opportunities in 2025, absolutely. But be mindful, every planet has its shadow side. Be mindful of expanding faster than you're actually ready to, okay? Now, when we get to June 15th, Jupiter is going to come into a square with Saturn, and just like a couple days later, Jupiter will square with Neptune, lighting up this space between your second house and your 11th house. So there's a tension between your financial goals and something that you're taking on in a social commitment. And so you've got to balance your resources, or maybe you're in charge of the resources for a group of people. So as this square highlights that challenge for you, it's really going to put you in a position of social responsibility, okay? Because Saturn is going to want the commitment at a social level, but Jupiter is like, I also need some money, or I want to build money here. So I think that here, first of all, the first thing to do is the square is making you do something. It's like, I'm going to get squished if I don't do something here. So what am I going to do? So I would reflect first on how you can align what it is you're trying to pursue financially with the social group that you are aligned with, and set some dang boundaries, right? Set boundaries that allow you to say, I need to balance my personal growth within this group with the group commitments. Because just because Pluto's in Aquarius and we're moving into a social age and you're having a social year doesn't mean that it's all social all the time. Prioritize realistic goals, make thoughtful decisions about how you can invest your resources, down from your money to your energy. Now, Jupiter in that square to Neptune is, again, it's going to challenge the idealism that you maybe have about your finances. So you have to, you have to You have to balance the dream with the social reality. Right? So just try and embrace your creativity, embrace your compassion, but stay practical. Ask a lot of questions about where your money is going and stay mindful of those boundaries, okay? All right, July 7th, here it is, Awakening Day. Uranus moves into Gemini, lighting up your first house. So this is, let me tell you, as a recent survivor of Uranus coming out of Taurus, I can tell you that this is about personal reinvention, my beautiful friend. I mean, it's about personal reinvention that comes through some personal vulnerability. It's about you're going to find you are going to embrace individuality and innovation of yourself, your self-expression in ways I don't even think you can see coming. And I hope that you allow your mind to be opened so that you can be shown something different about yourself that's already there. You just haven't been able to have access to it just yet. So it's going to encourage self-discovery, experimenting with who you are, your identity, how you show up. What is it that you want to carry into the world? So embrace the change. Express what's coming up for you uniquely. Explore maybe an unconventional approach to how you've been doing things. You know, and if you feel really inspired to break away from an old pattern, you're like, I've always done it this way. I've always worn this haircut. I've always thought that I should present myself this way. And you're ready to redefine how you present yourself to the world, even if the new version that you want to present seems like it is something so old and so traditional. It's all about just allowing yourself the freedom to explore new aspects of yourself that are presenting, right? So be open, expect the unexpected, expect unexpected relationships, opportunities, and to the best of your ability. I'm telling you, I survived it and I am so much better for it. Give yourself time to let the electricity flow through you. Embrace the fresh perspective of who you are and who you're going to find out you're bringing into the world. All right, then we're going to see Saturn and Neptune coming into a conjunction again in this 11th house. So, you've got to ground the aspiration, ground the dream, set realistic social goals, and this is going to be reinforced over and over and over again all year long. So also think about that this is a time to create structures that support the dream that you have. It's like helping you turn that ideal into a tangible outcome, but it will be happening likely within some kind of social system or some kind of community project or something like that. But your urge to be like, I want to manifest this, I need to create the structure or the container for it, I think will be really, really high at this time. Now, September 7th, we are going to see that we've got another full moon lunar eclipse. This one is in Pisces, lighting up that 10th house space. So again, the full moon is going to be asking you to end something, acknowledge something, or adjust something. You are being eclipsed here. This will be reset. So the releasing of outdated ambitions, not aspirations, ambitions, that's a heavier word. The releasing of that, the releasing or having professional breakthroughs, clarity in your career. This eclipse is like revelation to you. It is revelation to your soul about your career, your public image, your reputation, what we call you in public. And I think what it highlights most is that no matter what happens externally, it is highlighting your need for change. And the change has got to be surrendered in order for you to move forward. So release the ambition that doesn't serve you anymore. Whose ambition were you serving anyways? Who told you that that's how it has to be, right? Release that because it doesn't serve you. Adjust your career path to align with what's right for you today. Now, remember, Uranus has come into your sign, so you are over here being shaken, not stirred. And I'm telling you, I know all about it. So you have a minute to gather your information about who do you really want to be on this planet for the rest of the time that you have here. So this transit can help to bring some professional clarity, result in that breakthrough, and take you very publicly in a new direction, especially over the next 6 months. Now, just behind that on September 21st, we're going to have a new moon solar eclipse happening in Virgo. This is going to be about planting those new beginnings, right? We saw some stuff that was not working earlier in the year in the 4th house, home, family, real estate, property, your roots. And now it's like, okay, we've seen some things that are not working. Let's set our intentions for home, for emotional foundation, for security, a fresh start in our home and domestic life. So if you want a harmonious home environment, focus on what brings you emotional security, how you bring emotional security into your life, into your home for others. If you're feeling inspired to make healthy changes to your living space, very Virgo, or deepen your family connections, maybe it's like, I just want more inner peace. Focus on creating the nurturing environment and loving where you live, loving where you rest your roots, so that this can be a period of really positive domestic changes for you. Okay, so try to embrace it fully. Now, my beautiful friends, this is a lot. I hope you have taken this section piece by piece by piece. And remember, every day, every week, every month, we're going to be walking through this little bites at a time as well. But right now, my beautiful Gemini friends, I want to leave you in the hands of Miss Rachel Lang to talk to you more deeply about how this is going to impact your relationships for 2025.
Gemini, here is your love and relationship forecast for 2025. And I just have to start by saying what a year this is for you. So Uranus, which is one of our outer planets that moves relatively slowly compared to some of the others like Mars or Venus, the inner planets, Uranus has about a 7-year cycle in one sign. It gets started moving into your sign this year. It goes back and forth between Gemini and Taurus, fully making its way into your sign next year in 2026. And so this is a significant transit that relates a lot to you, yourself, and how you express yourself in the world. Uranus is really associated with freedom. And so freedom in relationships is going to be a very big theme for you. So I want to get into other transits and show you some slides for visual reference, but I just wanted to start off by saying that buckle your seatbelt. This is going to be quite an adventurous year for you. So here is my information if you want to find out more about me. Let's get started. So this is an overview of the transits for the year. And there's a lot of shifting currents this year. The outer planets are all changing signs. I'm recording this in November of 2024, and between now and early 2026, Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, and Saturn will all be moving to different signs. And next year, 2025, we go back and forth. Neptune, Uranus, and Saturn all go back and forth between the planets they're in right now and the planets that they're moving toward. So there's a lot of fluctuation. And this is going to have an influence on our relationships, primarily because the planets that are like our relationship planets, Mars and Venus, are both going to be going retrograde at some point during this year. We start the year with Mars going retrograde, and we'll talk about each one of these in detail, but this puts a lot of pressure on us to figure out what do we want in our relationships and where are we going? And for you in particular, with Uranus entering your sign and Jupiter's moving out of your sign in July. So you have Uranus and Jupiter both in your sign for part of the year. And so this puts a lot of pressure on you to figure out what do you want. And when a planet, an outer planet, is in our sign, we are going through a sort of reconstruction process. And this means that every aspect of your life is really under a microscope. And that can play out in relationship tension. That can play out in questions, wondering, where's the relationship going? Are you happy in a relationship? And so it's a whole year of navigating some of that uncertainty. And in addition to that, all of our mutable signs, so you along with Sagittarius, Virgo, and Pisces, all get to have eclipses on that Pisces-Virgo axis line, which does put pressure on the mutable signs. Whenever the North Node is moving through a sign, it is casting a unique light, a light that puts pressure on the signs with the same quality. So that's our mutable signs. Last year it was the cardinal signs. This year it is the mutable signs. Let's get into each one of these transits. So we start the year with Mars retrograde. And Mars retrograde is one of those times when we don't feel as motivated and little tiny conflicts and disagreements can build up. And for you especially, This retrograde brings up themes of communication. Are you expressing yourself in the most effective way? Are you listening? Are you receiving compliments if your partner or your loved ones are saying nice things? This is also a retrograde that can bring up questions of finances. Cancer is one of those signs that is very security minded. And for you in particular, it's like, how are we sharing our finances? Do you feel burdened or stressed by finances? Is the cost of living getting you down? These are all things to be working out and talking about over the course of this year. So anything that needs to come up to the surface is going to come up during Mars retrograde. One thing I'll say too is that when Mars is retrograde, we tend to not have as much energy. And so really give yourself permission to take it easy. I know you are like the go-getter, the multitasker of the zodiac, but when it comes to home stuff in particular, and if this especially applies if you're married or if you're partnered, when it comes to home stuff, Mars in Cancer, so this is especially toward the end of the retrograde cycle in January and February, Mars in Cancer can be a little passive aggressive. It's a time when we might not have as much outer expression for some of the frustrations that are building up. Try not to let things stew. If you're frustrated, express it right there in real time. The other transit, we're moving forward now, and Mars, the big event of the year, I think, is the move of Neptune and Saturn into Aries. Now, for you, this is in some ways breathing a sigh of relief. When Neptune and Saturn have been in Pisces, Neptune's been in Pisces since 2012, and that's been a little challenging for your sign because it brings up the dreams that may have never manifested. It brings up ideals in relationship that can be hard to navigate related to your reality right now. And so when Neptune and Saturn move into Aries, it gives you a little preview of what's coming next year. Neptune has a 14-year cycle in one sign, a 165-year cycle altogether. And this entrance into Aries is like a reset for us all. And for you, this is going to especially apply to your vision for the future and where you see yourself. It also applies to friendships. And so this can be a time when you're branching out, meeting new people. This can be a time when a friend might want to take things to the next level. And so you're navigating the tension between what you desire, what your heart desires, and what your dream is, and what's practical, what you can have in your day-to-day life. And so this can be a time of real commitment, real stability, of really making declarations of love. March is one of those months that we want to put on your calendar. It's a month of a lot of transition, and your ruling planet, Mercury, is going retrograde. We have the eclipses, we have Venus retrograde. There's a lot of pulling back, looking at the past, maybe even revisiting past relationships or past relationship dynamics. And it's all about dedicating yourself to something new as we move forward. So Venus is retrograde from March 1st to April 12th. This can be challenging for all of us in relationships, and especially if you have any loved ones who have Aries placements or Pisces placements in their charts. This can be especially challenging for Aries, Libra, Cancer, and Capricorn. But for you, this is a time when you are aware of where you want to go. And so this is if you want to move, for example, and your partner is resisting, the frustration for you is how do you get what you desire? How do you negotiate in those relationships? And how can you find that sweet spot between what your urges are and what your relationship needs and what your family needs? And so this is one of those times when you're reconsidering all of your priorities. This is also one of those transits that is going to put a spotlight on your friendships. Friendships actually play a big role in your relationships this year. And if you're single, that could be where to focus if you want to meet someone. I would start with your social life. The March eclipses are very interesting, and these are emotional ones because we're talking about things on the Pisces Virgo axis line, which is so much about healing our emotional, spiritual selves in order to have different manifestations playing out in our physical lives. So it's really the merging of heaven and earth, of the practical and the mystical. And I want to show you the charts for these. The March 13th one in particular is interesting because we have a stellium in Pisces. And Pisces can be one of those signs that doesn't have a lot of stable, solid grounding. And so this can be a time when you can't quite believe everything you hear. And this is especially true if you're in a relationship and you start to question certain aspects of the relationship, or if trust issues come up. Realize that your intuition is really working. And so if you perceive something's off, it probably is. But you want to go in and get some more facts, some more information before you take it to the bank, before you make any kind of major moves toward or away from a relationship. Also, we have Venus in Aries, Venus retrograde in Aries. And this is one of those independent signs where there's a lot of focus on self-love and on your own nurturing your own essence and your own heart. And so this can be tense in relationships. The good news is that we're all going through this, but you're feeling a little bit extra pressure just because Pisces is one of those signs that can be a little bit more hazy for you, a little bit more challenging. It's like there's a little bit more tension for you than there is for other signs. Also, we have Jupiter in your sign. We have Uranus coming close to your sign. So there's a desire to pull the focus into your own creativity, into your own self. And at the same time, if you're in a committed relationship, that asks you to find that real balance between self and other. And if you're single, this could be one of those times when you might just want to celebrate the freedom you have to go in deep within yourself, to open up opportunities that Jupiter loves to open up. The solar eclipse, which happens on March 9th, that is in the sign of Aries. And Aries relates to your own motivation, your own drive, your inner fire and vision for the future. And so here again, you have a real spotlight on friendships. This one's a continuation of all of the relationship and friendship evolutions that you had in 2024. The Pluto opposite Mars transit happens in April. And this one takes us back to the synodic cycle that started in February of 2024. We have Mars in Leo. We have romance. We have passion. We have creative expression. And the fire sign energy gives us a real burst of passion. But this is also taking place in an area of your chart that relates to communication. So you want to be a little careful about the sensitivity of your words. Sometimes we can't take things back once we've said them. And the Gemini mind is unlike any others. You can retain details, you have a real sharp wit, and so your words have extra power. And this is going to be true the whole time Mars is moving through that fire sign. So be a little gentle and also realize that everyone's got a short fuse during this time. So it's April. We're coming on the heels of all that happened in March. March was a buildup. It was a lot of intensity. Jupiter keeps moving through your sign until July 9th, and that's when it enters Cancer. And this is an area of your astrology chart that relates to your finances, your sense of self-worth. Here is where you and your partner might have some opportunities come in. You might be more open to ways that you can improve abundance. home and family are going to be in the spotlight once Jupiter enters Cancer. While Jupiter's in Gemini, though, this is a lot of you time. Again, it's great if you're single, you can really take that spotlight and turn it on yourself. But if you're in a relationship, you want to be thinking about things like what kind of opportunities can we open up together? And Jupiter relates to some of the big milestones in our relationships and in our lives, like having a baby, like moving to a new home. And while Jupiter's in your sign, it is definitely shining a light on those possibilities. But you want to be sure that you are being very discerning about what it is you decide to invest your time in. Jupiter tends to magnify and expand anything that it comes in contact with. And so if you are prioritizing moving to a new home, it could very easily speed up the process, or it could force you to look at your current living circumstances and say, is there anything we can change here to make it better before we move? Now let's talk about Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrograde is always an interesting time in relationships for you because it's your ruling planet. And Mercury retrograde tends to bring people from the past into our present. So we reevaluate all aspects of our relationships. It also can bring up communication needs in relationships, either because we're not communicating effectively or there are better ways that we can relate to our partners. The one that you want to keep on your radar is the one in November of next year. This is Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is your opposite sign. And when Mercury's retrograde in our opposite sign, we are more aware of the polarity in our relationship of you want this and I want this, or you're this way, I'm that way. Even the little things like you stay up late at night, I go to bed early, even those little things can become much more pronounced when we are in a Mercury retrograde cycle because we're aware of the details of our lives that need to be reoriented and reconsidered. And so that November Mercury retrograde is one that could be a dynamic time of change for relationships. This is also a time when we've got that outer planet fluctuation. And so there's naturally a sense of things are changing and shifting, and we don't have control. We don't have a handle on it. And so that can introduce some extra challenges in your relationship if you're trying to ground and settle, if you're getting married, or if you're making some kind of relationship commitment. This can also be a time when you might feel like you've got cold feet, like you're reconsidering. But it's really important to recognize that Mercury retrograde periods don't show us the final answer all the time. Sometimes they do. They show us what we need to pay attention to before moving forward. They're like a bow and arrow. Like the more we pull back, the more we go in, the further we can shoot forward on the other side of it. The September eclipses are also highlighted for you and your sign. And these eclipses really stretch your home life and your career. They stretch in different directions. So, a few things I wanted to point out about this. First of all, if you look to the right, you'll see Mars in Libra. Libra is a really compatible sign for you. It's a very passionate sign, it's a very flirtatious sign, but it doesn't always have the best outlet for pressure or for stress or for any relationship challenges. And so this can be one of those times when conflicts are brewing beneath the surface and you don't know quite what to do to resolve them. The other thing, too, is that Saturn is at the very last degree of Pisces going backward. Neptune is going backward. Everything is moving us back to the past. And so the challenges that have been present for you all throughout the year and even a little bit into 2024, those are all getting extra attention right now to where you might feel like you have to make some decisions or reach some level of resolution. But remember, you don't have to. You can take your time. Eclipses tend to do the work for us. They speed up the timelines. And where this is speeding up for you is this speeding up in your home life. that's where a lot of the energy is going to be focused. The sun is shining right there, and the moon's up in the career, the north node's up in the career, it's in your public life. It's asking you to prioritize that, but there's a lot of reconstruction. So this could actually be a time when you are doing some renovations, or if you're single, when you're looking at what changes you can make to your physical space to open up more space for someone to come into your life. Doing some feng shui, for example. This is a great time to be opening your heart, to be clearing your house, and to be asking what you can do to reach the family goals that you have. This also includes patching up relationships with family members, creating more of a balance between your personal life and your professional life, or seeing if there are points of integration of the two. Maybe you work from home a couple of days a week. So there's a lot of the pressure of the polarity between those two areas of your life. And how do you mediate that pressure? You try to find ways to bring them together or to make some real practical changes in your professional life or in your home life that will help you to mediate the tension between those two. And here is the eclipse for September 21st. This is a partial eclipse, solar eclipse. And here we have similar themes of home, family, but look at that. The sun, the moon, those are both at 29 degrees of Virgo. Saturn is at 28, Neptune is at 0. We have all of those points at critical degrees. And so this says to me, you are saying goodbye. You are letting go. And for some of you listening, you might actually be aware of what to let go of in a relationship, or maybe it's time to let go of a relationship. You don't have to know early in the year. By the time we get to this eclipse, that decision is going to be clear as a bell. We also have Mars at the last degree too, and that chart has a kite aspect pattern, which kites are patterns that have the tension of the opposition, but there's a forward focus, there's motion forward, and there's a real sense of direction. It's like a before and after. You can see the destination that you're reaching, and it's just about taking the steps necessary to get there. But yeah, this is a lot of endings. And so I think we could see some breakups during this time. I think we could see some maybe surprise breakups. I think we could also see some changes in the home, maybe buying a new home or investing in property, maybe doing a renovation or starting some kind of project, building an ADU onto the back. Something is shifting in your home life that is then going to ripple out and affect the relationship, whether you're single or whether you're involved. If you're single, any changes that we make to our home can open up changes in our love lives. So now we have Uranus in Gemini. This is another one of our significant transits this year. It dips into Gemini and then it goes back into Taurus. In 2018, Uranus entered Taurus. Uranus is the planet of change. It's the planet of courage, too. And so all that we were talking about with relationship changes and potential moves and breakups and getting together and really being focused about what you desire in a relationship, Uranus is the planet that indicates that you have the courage to make those changes and not feel guilty. That's one great thing about Uranus transits is that they tend to move us to where we most need to be for our future. And sometimes that move means that we're staying still, but we get to choose. And that's the key with this transit. So Uranus is going to be in Gemini from July 7th of 2025 to November 8th of 2025. And then it fully makes its way into your sign April of 2026. And Uranus stays in one sign for 7 years. And while Uranus is in a sign, it's rippling change in your life, sometimes really fast and all of a sudden, sometimes really slowly. So if you have any planets early in Gemini, or if your sun is early in Gemini, like on the cusp or within the first couple of days, this transit is going to especially relate to you. And this is a transit that asks for your freedom. And so anything that feels like it's weighing you down or pulling you back, whether it's a thought you've been thinking or a relationship dynamic that's codependent, or whether it's a friendship that just doesn't seem to be evolving in the same way that you're evolving. All of those begin to shift from the ground up, and that can result in actual changes in those areas of life. Then we close out the year with Capricorn season, and Capricorn season helps to just solidify and ground everything. And in particular, this one, because Mars is going to be in Capricorn, just setting the tone, setting the stage. Right before that, November is an interesting month because Mars moves through Sagittarius, your opposite sign, and it gets things fired up. And so you can go through a few days of just being restless or being frustrated. Toward the end of November, early December, things start to level out, and you can start to see that, that many of the relationship changes and evolutions that you have been going through, that you can put them into practical action at the end of the year and then into 2026. And so here's a mood board for you. This just shows you some of the themes of what we talked about. Friendship being really important, changes in friendships, awareness of what relationships can support you, what relationships you might have outgrown. Also, that goldfish, it's like there's a lot of change and you're getting settled. And so there could be actual movement. There could actually be the buying and selling of a home, changes in your home, financial changes, new ideas, new insight. It's one of those years of electricity and fast action. So there you go, Gemini. There is your love and relationship horoscope for 2025. What do you think? Comment below. I'll be reading these comments and posting as often as I can. Thank you for watching.
Gemini, you guys have the North Node moving into the sign of Pisces in your 10th house on January the 11th. The 10th house is going to talk about career, public life, reputation, your legacy, the mark you leave on the world. And so from the financial perspective, this looks like career shifts for some of you. So some of you might experience shifts in your professional life that affect your financial stability. With the North Node here, this talks about being a year of realigning your career goals, potentially finding a more spiritually fulfilling job here. And so this could look like public recognition for some of you, recognition in your career possibly through public platforms, social media, film or media or art or any creative endeavors that could be putting what you do out into the limelight a little bit more. This could lead to new job offers or promotion that really enhances income for some of you. Some of this will look like some social responsibility, community impact, or a work of care or compassion. So this could look like investing in green or social or spiritual businesses, vacation rentals, Airbnbs, hotels, hospitals, healthcare. Just be mindful of financial stability of any of these ventures, that they're actually making a profit and it's not just about the compassionate side of things, because from the financial perspective, we don't want to fall victim to any illusions with Neptune's influence here as it moves into the 10th house on the 7th of February. This is going to look like new career opportunities in creative or healing professions for some of you. And some of you will naturally feel drawn to or get invitations or offers into roles that involve compassion, spirituality, or artistic expression. This doesn't mean you have to leave your job. For some of you, this could be, a promotion or a job change or a project that ends up developing into something more community-based or more environmentally friendly, or something ESG related or something like that. Again, you want to avoid get rich quick schemes here or any unclear investment opportunities related to career. So you really want to look these things through and vet these things out, okay? And then on the 24th of February, we're going to have Mars moving direct in your second house of finances, personal resources, and self-worth. Mars going direct in your second house really is going to energize the financial sector here, encouraging you to take assertive steps towards income, your expenses, and your resources. So in some cases, some of you might be spending a little bit more than you plan to. Right? This can be sudden expenses related to home, healthcare, property, child care, taking care of young ones or even the elderly as well. So the influence here with the financial fluctuation to family and home matters is going to be due to that Cancerian influence. But this can be a very good time for some of you to take a risk in a new business venture related to real estate. This might be something you were already thinking about, 3 or 4 months ago towards the end of 2024, maybe even in December. And now you might be noticing that this is the time to move forward with some of these ideas or ventures related to real estate, food or caregiving services, or investing in assets or companies that work on those types of topics or sectors. Okay, so Mars can really support initiatives there for the long term for financial security matters there. Then on March 14th, we'll have the full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo in your fourth house. This talks about home, family, and real estate. So this can be changes in property ownership for some of you, signaling a major shift related to real estate, maybe buying or selling a property here, which can directly impact your financial portfolio. This can look like family-related expenses, an increase in family-related obligations, maybe taking care of an aging parent or a young one, or investing in home improvements, making the home nice. This is in Virgo, so this could be related to the pantry, or just making the home safer as well, getting fire extinguishers or stuff like that. And then we have the end of family financial ties for some of you. So some of you guys might be closing the book on taking care of family members. Somebody might be moving out of the home. There might be a resolution of an inheritance issue, or paying off a family or home related debt as well. Now, May 24th in 2025, we have Saturn entering Aries in your 11th house of friendships, social networks, long-term goals, dreams, and income from the 10th house of career. So financially, that looks like Saturn wants you to really take a structured approach to your long-term financial aspirations. You might be making some older friends who might have some financial advice for you. Saturn in the 11th. It's a good time to make disciplined plans related to retirement, savings, or group's investments as well. And this might be taking some financial responsibility in your social circles, or joining social circles, paying your way in or contributing or volunteering. Just be cautious of taking on too stringent financial burdens within your friend groups, because Saturn can bring some challenges or responsibilities that can be pretty heavy related to shared financial goals in this sector. Now, for some of you, structured investments in technology will be the ticket for you here, where if it's particularly related to community or social causes, particularly if they're things maybe related to defense or modeling or art or acting or metals, these things, coffee could even be one. Saturn urges slow and steady growth here though. So any structured investments here, if they're for the long term, they can really be supported with Saturn in your 11th house of investments. Now, June 9th, we have Jupiter entering Cancer in the second house. This talks about finances, personal resources, self-worth, self-values, what you ingest, family, local upbringing. The financial impact here talks about income expansion. That's what Jupiter wants to do for many of you. And this can suggest potential growth in your income through new job opportunities related to real estate or home-related businesses. Maybe you're working from home more. Maybe you're investing in home-related businesses or companies that take care of home-related things like roofing or lawn mowing or, siding, those types of companies. Lowe's, you're investing in Home Depot, something like that. Increased spending could be the thing here as well. With expansion can be the risk of overspending. Right, so for some of you, Jupiter will increase your income. For others of you, Jupiter will just increase how much you're spending and eating. So watch out for that, especially as it relates to home-related expenses. Financial growth from family ventures is another way to use this energy. Some of you can benefit financially from family-owned businesses or investments, or like a caregiving service or something related to real estate or child rearing and nurturing related businesses as well. Now, July 7th, Uranus will enter Gemini in the house of you. And this can talk about your personal identity and new beginnings, your life path, and how people see you in the physical body. So Uranus can change your look, your appearance, and of course, your personal finances and how you approach them as well. So this may undergo a shift in how you think about money, and even in the opportunities that you have and the way people want to pay you. Some of you might get more into freelancing. Some of you might get job offers or large sums of money now, intermittently, randomly through the business or the work that you're doing now. Innovative personal ventures for some of you, where you're feeling drawn to more unique forms of expression, writing or thinking. Forward-thinking financial opportunities, from a market perspective or portfolio perspective, like getting into cryptocurrencies or investing into tech startups for some of you, because Uranus supports innovation and technology here, especially if you're taking a smart, calculated risk here with something that's a little bit revolutionary. Uranus will support those types of investments. Uranus is volatile though, so again, be cautious and be careful with what you're choosing. And personal financial independence is what this is really encouraging in the longer transit scheme here. So breaking free from traditional forms of financial support for all Geminis over the next 7 years or so, opting for more unconventional ways of generating income like freelancing or starting your own business, as these transits impact you in different ways. As it moves through the 30 degrees of Gemini, you all will experience this in some way, shape, or form. And it's meant to liberate you guys. Now, September 7th, we'll have a full moon eclipse in Pisces in your 10th house of career, public life, and reputation. So, a full moon eclipse can have two effects, where it can end a career phase, but because it's a full moon, it can be bringing something to fruition, okay, showing you something. And so we can see a promotion, public recognition of the work that you've been doing, or even a decision to step down from a current role to pursue a new path. So this can be a lateral move, a new career, signifying the end of a particular job or stage in your career as well. So if you haven't been happy, Geminis, you might decide to leave and pursue a more fulfilling role. Even if you've been happy, it might just be time to move on for something bigger, better, and greater for you. Now, public recognition again looks like as an indirect effect on increased income or potential financial bonuses for some of you as well, which looks nice there. Then on the 21st of September, we have the new moon solar eclipse in Virgo in your 4th house. That talks about home, family, real estate, vehicles, and just all the things that you hold private as a sense of nurturing for yourself. Okay, so this could be new beginnings in real estate. Some of you might decide to invest in a property or into real estate. If you already have a home, this might be investing in the home that you have, or starting a home-based business or a business related to home-based ventures. Okay, and for some of you, this can look like family wealth matters, bringing new opportunities to grow family wealth, maybe hiring one of your children if that's the position you're in, or working for a family member, or maybe getting money through inheritance, property investments, or joint family members. Real estate ventures can look really good here. So this could be flipping houses, investing in rentals, or looking at how can long-term gains from property investments benefit you. And particularly if you have a good 6th house and 8th house, I really like having tenants or real estate for people with that type of dynamic. You can book a session with me if you want me to dive into those dynamics more as well. But what we're seeing here for the year for Geminis is really good opportunities for personal financial growth, expanding income through real estate, entrepreneurial ventures, and really just being careful with your long-term investments and speculative ventures. You can check out my yearly report for different stocks and ETFs and sectors that I vetted with financial astrology that will likely perform the best. And Jupiter's influence in your 2nd house will bring financial opportunities, while Uranus's influence is really going to help promote financial independence for you guys. So it's looking good to me. With that, have a great year. Good luck, Geminis. One love. Peace.
Hey there, Geminis. It's your turn for the astrology of 2025 and how it is affecting your sign as far as health and health astrology or medical astrology goes. So I'm Kira Sutherland, if you don't know me, and I'm great honor to be doing this for you. So Geminis in 2025. Oh my goodness, what is happening? There's a couple things that I want to tell you about. And again, I can't go through every transit that's happening, but the big things I would love you to have a focus on. Now, we have 3 Mercury retrogrades, as we do in every year. And being a Gemini, I always think probably it is a bigger thing for you at times, being your ruling planet. So something I thought, and I'm doing this with a few of the signs, something that I thought would be a great focus is when we hit Mercury retrograde. So this year, that's happening March, April, from Aries to Pisces. It's happening July, August with in Leo, and then November, a lot of November actually, from Sagittarius to Scorpio. So a lot of these retros are happening originally in fire signs. Actually, all three of them are starting in fire signs, which for a Gemini is kind of nice because it's trine. It's not a square for you, it's just trine. And so I always think that's a really beautiful, helpful energy to kind of reassess things. So as we get to each Mercury retro, I want you to look at what house Mercury is transiting for you. Yes, in sun sign astrology, if we move Gemini to the first house, then like the Aries retro would actually be happening in the 11th house. But I want to go deeper than that into your astrology rather than sun sign. And I want you to look at where Mercury, which house it's actually sitting in, and think about that's where we're doing a bit of a cleanup. That's where we're doing a reassessment, a bit of a tidy up. But I also like Mercury retrograde, especially for you, to sit back, relax a little bit, take stock, and nourish your nervous system, which you rule, brain and nervous system, and your lungs. You have part rulership of the lungs with Cancer. And nourishing the nervous system, one of the best ways to do it is actually through breathing exercises, any type you want to do, box breathing, alternate nostril, Wim Hof, whichever style works. Geminis aren't great at slowing down. And they're also, I can say this, you're good at forgetting that you own a body, right? We're so busy up at our heads, well, you are, Geminis, that you forget to ground and be in your body. Now, asking a Gemini to meditate can be a little bit tricky. Depends the rest of your chart, obviously. But to slow down and do some breathing gives you something to focus on and lets you reset that nervous system, lets you support the vagus nerve. And so, especially when we hit each of these retrogrades, I want you to think about, it's not time to push forward, but it's a great time to reset, nourish the nervous system, nourish the adrenals, which really get overstimulated via the nervous system, especially that first retrograde that's starting in Aries, that's in March. Speaking of, we start the whole year with Mars retrograde on January 1st in Leo. So again, another fire retrograde. And that actually lasts till around February 14th, depending on where you live. So it's a great year not to start, bull out of gate. This is a year to be more gentle for that first 6 weeks. 6 weeks, that's a long retrograde. And, take stock, vision plan, with it being in Leo and the sign of creativity, and Mars being the planet of, it is the planet of inflammation, the adrenals, but it's also the planet of action. And I always think of it as a great planet to think about what sport we want to be doing. And then Leo, all the fire signs have a bit of a sport, muscle, action rulership. So it's a great time to find some different styles of activity and sport that aren't over pushing it for you. So assessing how you move your body for the year ahead, but not necessarily having to go out and do it right now. Maybe revisiting, what did you used to love as a child? What types of sport really nourished you, and how can you go and do those again moving forward for the year? So those are two of the big things. The third big thing I wanted to bring to your attention, which you're probably already aware of, is that Uranus, the planet, if we're talking outers, so Uranus for us all for almost 7 years has been in Taurus. So Uranus rules in medical astrology. It has part rulership of like the electrics or the messages being sent around the body. Also kind of how we create energy through the mitochondria, how we, physically or biochemically create energy. It's the planet of radical change. And Geminis, look, you don't have trouble with change. Sometimes sticking to the change is a thing, but with it being at the ending in Taurus and it's moving into Gemini come July through November, I think then it actually retrogrades a little bit to Taurus, and then fully yours by 2026. So radical change and Gemini. Let's have a think about this. So again, higher octave of your nervous system. It's also kind of circulation and how things connect in the body. So I actually think the first half of this year is a great planning for you about what you want radical change in with your body and with your health. What do you want to be really different? Even if it's kind of a big wish, because when Uranus enters a sign, it makes things really possible that we often couldn't do in the past. So I would love you to spend some of the retrogrades as well as the first 6 months really thinking and brainstorming and writing down or verbalizing how you want to create change with your health, so that by the time July comes around and it moves into your sign, you're ready for it and you're actioning and it's feeling amazing. And again, what house, depending on what your rising sign is, what house is this occurring in? Obviously, if you're a Gemini rising, this is radical change within your physical body because that's the first house. So is this the time you're really going to do some crazy, what feels a crazy style of eating that you've always wanted to try, or trying new activities, whatever it is? But it's a great time to be doing this. Plus, we have the support of Pluto eventually getting out of Capricorn, moving into Aquarius. And, Pluto's going to bring stuff up for us to release and to detoxify and deep change. So we've got radical change and then deep transformation, both moving signs. And I really think this is a year for Gemini and for a lot of signs, but Gemini, you specifically, to make some big habit shifts. And I think it's really exciting. And I hope you enjoy the year. Have your rest periods with the retrogrades, your planning periods, and then go after it. But please remember you're in a physical body. One of my wishes for all Geminis is that you remember to drink enough healthy fluids and support your nervous system with some great magnesium-rich foods, such as, well, dark chocolate, but green leafy veggies, and which also helps with lots of energy, lots of B vitamin-rich foods. Again, all your veggies. If you're what else? B vitamins in healthy grains. I'm not saying go out and take supplements. If you're going to take supplements, please double check if you're on any medications. That's up to you and your healthcare practitioner. But yeah, magnesium is like one of my favorite nutrients for you, as are all the B vitamins, and some good essential fatty acids, be they from oily fish, avocado oil, things like that. So I wish you well for 2025. Thanks.
Hey Gemini, I'm Tiffany Harelik, and I'm here to give you your spiritual forecast for 2025. So there's a lot of really cool things in store for you this year. I'm excited. You're going to have an amazing year. And before we get started, I want you to download the PDF for the 2025 horoscopes so that you can have the PDF as you're going through the presentation with me, and you can refer to your chart, but then also everybody else's that you love. So while you are downloading that, let me tell you about the numerology of the year. 2025 is a 9-year. So in numerology, which overlays with astrology, beautiful when we are studying spiritual development, numerology divides life cycles into 9-year terms. And so this is a 9-year. So this is the culmination. This is the ending. This is a completion year. And so overall, this is a year when you're tying up loose ends to free yourself up to move into the next chapter of your life, which is huge, huge, huge. There are beginnings within endings. It's a transition year. It's an integration year, blending things that you have learned. And I think that it's going to be a really interesting and fun year for you. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. We can get this presentation started, this party started here. And one more little bit of housekeeping. If you use the code Stormie 2025, you can get $10 off of the Wise Skies digital astrology calendar. It goes in any platform, so Android, iPhone, all of the phones, all of the calendar systems, and it travels with you throughout the universe. It changes time zones as you change time zones. So let the universe have your back this year and use code Stormie 2025. It has all of the planetary movements, the eclipses, the retrogrades. It has fixed star information, and it just gives you a glance at astrology right in your phone or laptop. So what we're going to do today, Gemini, we're going to look at what are the planets in spiritual development quickly. We're going to do a quarterly breakdown for you, and then we're going to look at your major theme of 2025. So in the lens of spiritual development, Mercury, right, has to do with our mindset, the way that we think about things. It has a huge impact on how we experience them in the out picture, in our world around us. Mercury represents our nervous system. So when we are in fight, flight, fright, freeze, it has a distortion on our ability to make healthy decisions. And so Mercury retrogrades 3 times this year. We're going to get into it. Venus and Mars also retrograde this year. But Venus shows us not only just about love and money and values and goddess energy, it also shows us about how we spend and receive our energy, our life force, right? Mars shows us how to write our spiritual mission statement. Jupiter shows us about our faith, Saturn about discipline, and Uranus about our friend groups, our spiritual networks, our wishes and dreams for the future. Neptune shows us what we're trying to let go of, to dissolve, hands-free. Pluto shows us that subconscious gold, the things that are like right under the surface that help us see if we're triggered about something, what is the thing that's underneath that is just screaming for some healing. Pluto regenerates, changes, and transforms completely. Chiron represents the master healer in our chart. And then the moon represents our intuition, our psychic abilities. So if you are studying or developing your abilities, I have a cool product called 40 Days of Spirit that is 1 email a day for 40 days in a row that gives you strategies and techniques to build your abilities. But the moon shows us more, right, about that spidey sense that we all have. You were all born wise. You were all psychic. You all have the gift. The nodes, right? The nodes represent our spiritual growth. The head of the dragon, the north node, is what we are eating and digesting and embracing. The tail of the dragon, the south node, shows us what we are needing to eliminate. The outer planets, Pluto's staying the same, but we have 4 outer planets that are changing signs this year, which is extraordinary because 2 of them are moving from Pisces to Aries, which is a big jump from water to fire. So for you, Gemini, this first quarter of the year, let's get into it. This first quarter of January through March is going to be a work focus. And so I have a fun little Dolly Parton quote for you there. But I want you to be considering your career, your work goals, and what is shifting and changing. Right from the get-go, right? The nodes shift from Aries, Libra, me, we, into Pisces and Virgo. And so what we're doing is we're letting go of kind of the negative side of some of the Virgo traits, and we are embracing some of the positive sides of the Pisces traits. So all of us, this applies to all of us, and we're balancing Mercury and Neptune. Virgo is ruled by Mercury, Pisces is ruled by Neptune, co-ruled, Jupiter in there too. So we are balancing the practical and the spiritual. You are letting go of, this is one of your intentions of the whole year, is to not overthink it, not overwork it, not overdo it, not overanalyze it, not be overly critical of it, letting go of control issues and any fade concerns. So fade in my lineage is fix, argue, defend, and explain. We don't need to do that. That represents that we're trying to control something. And I know a lot of my Gemini friends have a tendency to get into workaholism. So being aware of that, if that's you, to try to have some more work-life balance. What you're embracing is much different. You are a spiritual creature. My Gemini friends, they are so brilliant, right? They have these hits of intuition. And a lot of times, I'm the psychic friend or I'm the astrologer, and then a Gemini friend will say something and I'm like, whoa, that was a hit from spirit. So I want you to pay attention to your intuitive hits, and I want you to be in that dream flow, that dream state. Allow more room for spirit in your life and less analytical and more flow and ease this year. All right. And for you specifically, Gemini, this nodal shift is going to encourage you in your career life and to take a leadership role, to reassess some things with your career or your public image if you're not working and you're just having this is your reputation is on the line, right? So your reputation, how you shine, what the world needs from you, how they need you to show up, what you have to offer, your special gifts. The South Node in Virgo helps you let go of your solid ideas about how things were supposed to go with your career or your reputation. So we're embracing that spiritual side and that flexibility. A defining moment of the year is that Saturn and Neptune are going to get really close to each other in Pisces, and we're going to follow and trace their journey because they're going to be exactly conjunct in 0 degrees of Aries next year. But all year long, the Saturn and Neptune are traveling so close together, moving from Pisces into Aries. This makes spirituality a very serious business. And that's my department, right? Spiritual development. So I hope all of you get some structure, Saturn, with the spirit side of life, right? So some of us are born to have structure throughout the day and some of us are not. And so we still can have some disciplines without a structure, meaning maybe you're the kind of person that does the same thing in order every morning for your morning routine. And there's another set of people that has the elements, but does them in a different order, or sometimes it's morning and sometimes it's evening. You're still getting that in, which is discipline, Saturn. So there are some duality themes for you to play with here on the screen. And then, of course, integration, part of the 9-year integration. We are integrating structure into our spiritual studies. As 2025 starts, Mars will have been retrograde, right? So Mars is retrograde until February 24th, and it's in Cancer, right? This is a sign where there can be a lot of passive aggression type stuff, like people aren't as in touch with their emotions or why they're feeling the way that they're feeling. And so you have the ability to kind of see through that, read the room, read the vibe, understand that people are having major internal conflicts with themselves, so encouraging people, hey, can you let yourself off the hook about that? It seems like you're really beating yourself up. That might really encourage or support someone. And for you, if you're having mood swings, if you're going from one side of the pendulum to the other, have some space for grace for yourself. We're all trying to navigate our emotions and focus our fire. And that's hard when it's like Mars, fire, and water sign, right? Kind of puts the fire out in some ways. And so that is a theme for all of us. But for you specifically, Gemini, I think this is going to be a financial restructure. So anything that feels like, oh, that's not what I had planned for my finances, or I need a different form of income, or I need to let something go because I'm working too much. Take extra care with your budget. Avoid impulsive purchases. This is a good time to reconsider how your emotional side is connected to finances. Are you connecting your value to your worth, your net worth, and your self-worth? I have a whole talk on that if you want to go deep with me. But this net worth, self-worth theme is up for review for you this first quarter of the year. Venus, right? Love and money, but also how we exchange our energy with others intimately, right? Is also retrograde. So when Venus goes retrograde, it acts kind of like a mini Mars. So now we have Mars direct and Venus acting like Mars, and there's going to be an opportunity here in March, because Mercury is about to go retrograde too, to reevaluate, evolve, resolve, recharge the batteries of our hearts. There's a list of things of what to do here: reconnecting with old friends, accepting people, making heart-to-heart connections. And then what not to do is making big, huge changes, making big, huge, like no drama. What would it be like without the drama? And then to not fade. So again, don't fix, argue, defend, or explain. Anne Lamott says that help is just the sunny side of control. And I think that that's a good thing to keep in mind, especially during this retrograde period. So you are reassessing your career relationships, the relationships you have at work, the relationships you have with your friends, forming bonds with people that are kind of on the same work family, work friends, stuff like this. You are reconsidering all this because you're trying to come into greater alignment. So nothing's wrong. We're just making some edits here. Same thing with Mercury retrograde. So Mercury and Venus traveling really closely together this time of the year. Mercury rules our nervous systems, the way that we make decisions, our quality of decisions. Now, as it goes, let's see, retrograde through Aries, Pisces, again, this is a reconsideration of your reputation, your public image, the way the world sees you. Your friend groups are a reflection, or your networks, right? Like, let's say that you're in charge of a bunch of different groups at work, or your work represents a group of some kind, right? Like, that is a reflection of you. And so there is a redefining opportunity here. Some of you might be pivoting your work or your career goals. Some of you might be pivoting your own personal mission statement. I know that some astrologers are cringing because I put this thing about promotion in here. It's not necessarily the best time to be like, give me a raise, unless it is. So who knows? What's going on with your personal chart has a lot to do with the mojo here. You might be reconnecting with old places that you've worked, old friend groups, having little reunions, stuff like this would be a good way to make light of the energy. We have 4 eclipses, right? 2 are in March this year, 2 are in September. This first one is in Virgo. There's going to be a power surge or outage when it comes to having too much work or not enough. And so you, Gemini, are really tasked with balancing that work-life balance. Significantly, this is going to give you a reality check for your health, your routine, and how much work you are taking on. This is in general for you, Gemini, specifically, right? This is falling in the home sphere of life. So the arena of family dynamics might have a shakeup, a wake-up call, an evolution, a new way to connect with your family or your ancestry or your lineage. But you're looking for clarity around domestic matters. That is going to calm the nervous system down. Each of the lunations here are part of a bigger moon family cycle. This one started in September of 2023. So looking back, what was brewing? And now what do you have more information about? Knowing that whatever these themes are for you will culminate here in December 11th. So this moon family story is telling you something over time. This is a really fun activity to look back on your life in your journal, or working with an astrologer to do that. All right, the second eclipse is going to happen in Aries, Aries eclipses come on hot, fast, speedy, peppery, cayenne energy, and they dissolve quickly. Do you know anybody that, that's their form of argument, is like they really fast and loud, and then they cool off quickly, right? That's hard for some of the fixed signs to understand, because it's like, wait, you said this and now I'm going to harbor it for a little while longer. Think about it. So the Aries eclipses, this is a reminder that your eclipse moment can come up to 90 days in advance. So don't freak out about the exact date of the eclipse. Just know that there's intensity building for a lot of people. The Aries eclipse, this is a time when you see people making hasty decisions. I'll leave it at that. So be aware before you make a really hasty decision, unless the pressure builds and pushes you off the jumping board, the diving board, and you have to just grow wings on your way down, just be cautious. This is giving you new beginnings in your social life. So this is going to be a really interesting time to be aware of because it sets off a new 2.5-year cycle. So what's going on in your social life, your friend groups, your networks, your collaborations, your alliances, your social clubs, stuff like this. These are the people that are going to open doors for you and you for them as well. Cool. So the first quarter is the longest to discuss. So Neptune is moving into Aries here at the end of the first quarter. The dates are here for you. Neptune has been in Pisces since 2011. It will stay in Aries until 2039 because the retrograde cycle, it dances in and out. Neptune is like the yoga teacher in the sky. It blends, it dissolves, it spiritualizes, it turns everything into mystic and bliss and beauty. It represents the ocean, it takes away, right? And so it shows us what we need to let go of about ourself. Aries representing the self, representing new initiatives, pioneering things where we are needing to pioneer in the spiritual way, where we're needing to start things with a co-creation with spirit, with your higher power. So this is going to be huge. I have so much to say about Neptune and Aries, but for you specifically, Gemini, I think this is going to give you a surge of inspiration from your friend groups, from your social connections, from the people that you hang out with a lot, from your community. So look for ways to be innovative with those groups. Stay open to different approaches, and you want to be cautious of the challenging side of Neptune, which is delusion, illusion, and fantasy. So some ideas might not be as brilliant as they seem at first, and you're just going to have some awareness around that. So we're watching this over time. The second quarter, April through June, you are rebuilding some stuff, and I want you to do it with joy, which is why I put the quote from "We Built This City on Rock and Roll" in your forecast here. So you just want to dance here. You want to build something that is fun and exciting and friendly and requires social connection. You want to build in a way that hasn't been done before. And so let's take a look. Saturn building moves into Aries. So if Neptune is the yoga teacher in the sky, Saturn is like that military granddad who is honored and on time and is predictable and is long-term thinking. It's the best granddad possible in the world, the archetype of that wise mentor. Saturn represents boundaries and lines and hard lessons. It represents our fears too. It represents where we need to grow up, where we need to mature. And Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. And so there can be some hard lessons there with maturity and duty and responsibility. We can feel limited, right? But limitations are what help us. I could say, paint any picture you want, but all you have is one color. You're going to feel limited, but then you're going to come up with creative ways to use that color differently, right? So Saturn represents bones, right? Structure, hard lines. Aries in health and in wellness represents the face. And so you might see some new initiatives during this 2.5, 3-year period where Saturn is in Aries, new initiatives when it comes to elder care, dementia care, things that have to do with the brain, head and face, dentistry, optometry, chiropractic. And for you, Gemini, this is why we built the city on rock and roll. You are getting a new foundation. You're creating things in a new way with new structures, new processes, things that haven't ever been done before within your groups. So your group could be your work family, your group could be your social media stuff, it could be your community, but you are doing things in a new way and you are the innovator. Jupiter moves into Cancer where it's exalted this summer. So June 2025 for a year, the planet of good luck and abundance and benevolence and overseas travel and foreign languages and legislation moves into Cancer, which is the sign of the mother. It's the sign, it's a water sign, which increases intuition and our psychic development and empathy and compassion. Cancer rules cooking, right? And so you might see Jupiter, this expansion theme related to real estate, kitchens, family growth, and your own psychic development. Faith and family are big themes of Jupiter in Cancer. And for you, Gemini, you might be looking at ways where you can contribute and be a benevolent benefactor for countries or communities across the world. You might be looking for ways to tithe or develop or get involved with world families. There might be projects or causes that are calling your heart. You might want to go visit. You might want to just find a new place to donate or share your resources with. This can play a significant role in your spiritual development. There was a year that I went to India and we went to a girls' school, and I have so many stories about this girls' school, so many stories. But the bullet point I will share is that the founder came out to talk with us about the financial need, right? And so they're feeding us, and we got to participate in their morning ceremonies and meet the girls and meet all of the beautiful many layered aspects of the school. And he said, we don't need your dollars, we need pennies. And so it just broke your heart, right? And we knew we were going there to support them. This wasn't a hard sale. But my point is, a little bit can go a long way wherever your heart calls you. And it doesn't have to be an overseas culture. It can be your own community. But there's something here about giving that is going to expand your heart and help you feel a connection in a way that you might not have been doing before. So Mercury is going to retrograde here in fire sign Leo in the end of summer here. For you, this is going to be maybe like spicy with your relationships. Maybe you revisit some old relationships or partnership ideas. Mercury is your planet. You could have some indecision about what's going on with your relationships. It will clear up over time. This isn't the right time to make drastic decisions. What have you taken for granted? Where are your boundaries failing or working for you when it comes to love? What processes can you redo? Where can you reconsider some things and let that inner child come out and play? All right, as we look at July through September here of 2025, this activates the angles. So the main movements activate the 1st, 4th, 7th, and 10th metaphysical template of your life, Gemini. So this is you, your identity, how you shine, your home and family, your significant other, and your work. That's the main stuff of life, right? And so to me, this is going to be a really interesting quarter, and to see what you do with it. So I put a Who song on there for you, so you're understanding more about yourself. Uranus moves into your sign for 7 years. This is a really interesting and fascinating placement. Gemini rules information. Uranus is shock and awe and change. And so is there going to be some propaganda and strange news out there? Absolutely. Is there going to be some information wars out there? Probably. But here are some themes in history, right? We had the first aerial photography was invented during Uranus and Gemini. The Carrington event happened during Uranus and Gemini. I think we'll see some educational reform. Gemini rules our public schools, but also our wrists, our shoulders, right? Our hands, the things that we need for hobbies. And so I feel like there's going to be some innovations in that area. Genetics, space communication, electric car, like self-driving cars, and extreme weather for sure. Mercury and Gemini ruling the weather. So, and Uranus being really crazy weather events. So we'll see what happens. But for you, particularly Gemini, this planet of innovation and radical change, right? And revolution and Einstein aha moments, this is going to be a really interesting 7-year period, because at some point that planet is going to conjunct your sun, right? It's going to come right down on who you are and how you shine. And you might really surprise yourself and other people with this new version of yourself. You are radically reshaping and reinventing yourself. That's why we have the Who song. Who are you? Who are you? In September, we have 2 eclipses. The first one here in Pisces can be more draining, more drowsy. We recently had one, in 2024, we had an eclipse in Pisces where all of the water themes are all over the news. The pool closes, the boil water notice happens, the friend has mold in her house. There can be water themes. This isn't to scare you, it's to let you know that something needs to disintegrate. Something needs to be flushed into the water. Are your water systems, are your filtration systems good enough for you, right? Do you need to add a filtration system or a shower system or something that helps you with the theme around water and health? Pisces also rules our spirituality. But for you, Gemini, you can expect some emotional revelations in how you walk your walk in terms of your career and your reputation and what the world needs from you. So it's going to be enlightening for you to see how other people see you. And you might spend this time by asking a few of your friends, like, what are some key words that you think about me? How do you see me? Some of you might be changing careers this year. So this is a 9-year, a culmination, something ending. What is that new beginning? What are you letting go of to make room for more goodness in your life? This moon family cycle started back in March of 2024 and will end in June of 2026. You can study these dates, placements, and themes with your astrology buddies. All right, and then the last eclipse of the year is in Virgo, same as the first eclipse. Power surges or outages when it comes to work and service and health, meaning we might have too much or not enough in those themes. This is that reality check for health and routine. So finding your rhythm all year long, chop wood, carry water, steady as she goes, making sure you are putting your own wellness first. Like that's going to be always, but it is extra emphasized this year. This eclipse is activating your home and family life. So there might be some restructuring, rebuilding, some different dynamics going on with your house or your living spaces. Yeah, so set your intentions wisely. You can play with the address numerology to shift the vibe. You can change the furniture around. You can paint stuff. You can change the art out. You can activate this in fun ways. So play with it. Now, this one starts a new 2.5-year cycle. So this one starts now of September 21st, 2025, and culminates later in December of 2027, which is a fascinating year to study. Now, we've got October through December, the last quarter of the year for you. This is a line from the theme song Friends, because I think your friends are going to be a big, big part of your life and how you understand yourself and how you propel yourself and what's wanting to happen through you. Whatever creative vision is wanting to happen through you is going to be supported by your alliances, your clubs, the groups of people that you place yourself with. So yeah, Mercury retrograde most of November here in fire and water. For you, this is going to hit your groups, your kind of your metaphysical template of your 10th and 11th house, right? So this is your work, your groups, your friends. You might be returning to a former path of study or work or from some former friend groups, that idea of friendship reunions coming back around. There can be delays at work. There can be delays with travel, of course, all the normal Mercury retrograde stuff, but it might be a good time for you to reconnect with some old groups of people that like served you really well. Maybe some friends you had earlier in life, or a group of work people that would just like re-inspire you, or you and them in some ways. So it doesn't have to be just your friends and the people that surround you here on earth. It can be your supernatural team of friends. And so you have a supernatural support team, you have a spiritual guidance, you have a connection to your higher power. And so this is a reminder to co-create with that. And whenever I am making decisions 100% on my own without my higher power, that's where mistakes are made and regrets happen for me. So I like to remind all of us and myself of that. It's like there's a co-creation available. Like the prayer can be, show me which friends are most beneficial for me. Show me which groups you want me to serve and be involved with. And there can be intentions and prayers that incorporate that. So your main theme of the year, Gemini, is that you are refining and redefining yourself through your very powerful networks. It's so important to surround yourself with people wisely. There are mighty changes happening within your identity. So this gives you a courage to change, a courage to be different, a courage to let go of something that really hasn't been working for a pretty long time. So work-life balance, embracing friend groups, finding new groups to connect with or new ways to connect with old groups. You're building your new life. So who are the cheerleaders? Who are your support system? Embrace the power of friends and the powerful networks that you want to be part of or are already part of, and access the power that's in there. Many hands make light work. That was just a last little thing from Spirit. So, yep, in closure and conclusion, please use the code Stormie 2025. Get your copy of the digital astrology calendar. It's good all year. Has all of the main aspects from the planets, the ingresses, the eclipses, the retrogrades, the important moments and descriptions. And so by the end of the year, you're going to be an astrologer because you're going to be learning what everything, all of the little guidances mean. There's resources there for you. There's the emojis. The sun here is indicating this is a good news day, and the moon and umbrella together indicate this is a time you might want to slow down. Things feel a little bit more nebulous. So in closing, again, I'm Tiffany Harelik. Make sure you get your free horoscope PDF. I'm on YouTube. I have a podcast. I send out a Friday forecast newsletter. I do astrology for spiritual development students. And so I'd love for you to join my membership. I mentioned that cool 40 Days of Spirit email product for people that want to develop their psychic gifts. And I host retreats. So 2024 was Tulum in Austin. 2025, I'm hoping for Santa Fe and Malibu and wherever you are. So if you want me to come host a yoga or astrology retreat, let me know. And the main message is love each other. We're called to love each other, serve people, give them food, feed people, love each other, love God. That's all you have to do this year, if nothing else. I hope something resonated with you. I hope that this has been fun for you, a good glance at your own spiritual development and what is evolving for you in your life, what opportunities are available for you. And on behalf of the 2025 forecast team, we are sending you so much love and abundance, wishing prosperity over you in your life and your loved ones. And stick around because we have more gifts coming out throughout the year. So we're glad to do this journey with you. It is my complete honor to do this work in forecasting. And thank you for being here. Namaste, Gemini.